Hey son, and welcome to Swedish black and death metal to melodic way. This is Necrophobic from Sweden, and it's now on their 5th decade. Oh, how has the time passed? Now, this band, now under Century Media for quite some time, is one of those really strong household names. Along with Marduk, they have been one of those Swedish extreme metal cornerstones you can really count on, to deliver their kind of a classic and kind of a timeless approach to metal. Now the band calls itself sort of kind of a blackened death metal, which I guess is in many ways quite accurate. And since the band has been out here since 1989, they surely are veterans to the genre. Now the previous album was already ready. Very cool one. That is, I'm forgetting the name right now. Let me just get my notes here. Mark of the Necrogram. That came out already 2018, whereas this came out in 2020. And that already was a really strong album, and I think one of the better ones by the band. Not that this band ever made a weak album. And now that the band is, celebrating its 5th decade, and as such quite an old band with lots of lineup changes, it's still kicking ass very strongly. And to be honest, this might be even their best album so far. Definitely one of the better ones, at least of those which I have heard, and I think I have heard most of them, if not all, during the years. But I'll be honest, I haven't been listening to the band for years, except these couple of last albums, so I wouldn't, believe my own memories that well. I wouldn't take them without hard questioning. Anyway, this album that came already out in last October came out with also a digital MCD. I don't know if that was even out there as physical copy. Already convinced me that this band is very much, I wouldn't say back into the game because they never left the game, I guess, but I mean, they were kind of proving that they were even more improving since that the Mark of the Necrogram. Anyhow, with this album, I think they have even more kind of redeemed their status that, this band is making sure that it doesn't matter if you get old. That doesn't mean that you have to slow down or get more boring. And I'm totally referring to some bigger bands, type of bands like Metallica and Iron Maiden that never really got to take the benefit of their veteran years. I mean, those bands had their best history in the 1980s. So how come these kind of bands that are coming from more like black and death metal school, then again, just keep getting better when they're older? I don't know, it must be something to do with being Swedish, or maybe it is indeed the reason that while some people just, cut their hair and remove their, pentagrams and inverted crosses and start to wear normal clothes like adults, these guys are go in a little bit different direction and they're like, hey, piss off, we don't care about your adult life. We care for Satan, we have these inverted crosses, leather and denim and, bullet belts and all, and as such, make a terrible album. Terrible as in, wow, really good. Now, this album spans, across almost 48 minutes and has 10 tracks. Once again, quite classic, going almost like 45 minutes with 10 tracks and all, but it really works nicely. I mean, this album is not too lengthy, so you don't really get bored with that. But instead, have this kind of a feeling like, hey, maybe I should give it another spin. But more importantly, it's filled with majestic melodic riffs which are flirting both with death metal and black metal side. I guess I would say this is definitely more leaning to the melodic black metal style. I mean, the bands like Dissection and so forth, Unanimated, all from Sweden, and I guess a little bit with Mörgruning, once again also from Sweden, are doing. So there is definitely something very Swedish with these melodic parts, be it just basic riffs, guitar lead solos, everything is right there. And then there are even hit songs like Mirror Black, which I guess the band themselves recognize as being the hit song because that was also featured on the MCD, which also came in 2020. I think only little bit before this actual full-length album. So the band has these very kind of a trademark melodic parts, which are, in my opinion, the backbone of the whole band. I mean, while the drummer is definitely quite good and very much supports the style here, it's a little bit too sterile, in my opinion. You know, sounds like it's not as dynamic as the guitar riffs and everything else here. The only downside is that the bass is too much on the background. At least that's how I feel, but I don't know, maybe it would have gotten a little bit too messy, it was too loud. But I still feel like the bass should be even more present right there. Now when it comes to the vocals, they're pretty much the standard stuff what you would expect from the style. I mean, kind of a raspy, black metalish vocals. You don't really expect growlier parts, even though this is going like Blackened Death or Black Death. But more on the raspy or black metal side, and they are pretty good, but nothing phenomenal. But once again, this album lives and succeeds with its melodic parts, and because they are so goddamn good, that's all you basically need with this kind of album. If you are, however, allergic to very melodic output, I mean, if you're all interested in like really extreme blast beats, or, you know, the kind of a war metal approach to your extreme metal, then this might not be your cup of tea. But anybody who ever liked melodic style in black metal or Black Death, well, you are here for a treat. This is a really, really good album and could be, like said, the best album by Necrophobic so far. I really dig this album a lot, and I think it kind of you know, started to grow on me the more I gave it a listen. And I think this will be an album that might be referred in future as a classic. Who knows? I mean, but at least it has all the ingredients to be one of them. So definitely give this one a go and enjoy. I strongly recommend. This is definitely one of the better ones in late 2020. So too bad I didn't get the copy back then. This could have been featured on my best of 2020 list. But it's definitely one of those gems of 2020 which you don't want to miss. So give it a go and enjoy.